But the virus stops with every vaccinated person.
But this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
The conspiracy theory about this related to vaccine, you're right.
We had to really move at the speed of science.
Doctors are baffled. They're looking into it. They're going to be back with their answer very soon. But until then, we have no idea what's going on. Why are people dropping dead for no reason, especially these young athletes, young, healthy male athletes in the middle of their sports practice? It's crazy. These heart problems, myocarditis, you got neurological problems going on everywhere, blood clotting. It's all over the place. Rapid cancers. I mean, that is just, we can't keep track of it all. But we have no idea what's happening. And doctors, they keep saying they're baffled every time, especially the young ones. But they're looking into it. Just so don't fear. They will have an answer for us soon. But in the meantime, while we wait patiently, you should know they wanted us to know that we know what it's not. So Here we go. I'm here with Craig Pasta Jardula. We're going to look at the latest development in the medical freedom movement community, which has gotten so bizarre these days because MAHA isn't been the thing that it said it was going to be. But we saw this headline come up a few days ago. This is a top doctor from London. He warns the MPs of possible cancer link to COVID boosters. What? Where is he getting this from? This seems like misinformation coming up here. I don't know. But long stable cancer patients have suffered relapses after receiving the COVID booster jab, MPs were told. Well, I don't know where he got that information from, but they were urged to investigate any possible connection between the mRNA vaccine and the aggressive relapses. So this is Professor Angus Dalgleish, one of UK's leading skin cancer specialists, made the claims in testimony to the all-party parliamentary group on pandemic response and recovery. His testimony is expected to put fresh pressure on regulators and ministers to decide whether further large-scale studies are needed to access any potential long-term risks of the COVID jabs. In the stark warnings to the MPs, Professor Dalgleish said, "In my opinion, this is no longer a hypothesis. The data are in. The mechanisms are understood. The signal is screaming. It is time to act." He told the group his concerns first raised in early 2022 are no longer isolated observations, but are now backed by international research. The only common factor we could find was the booster. These patients had been stable for 3 to 18 years. The relapses require new treatment. Well, I'm sure he's just making that up because he's trying to sell a T-shirt. Craig, what's your thoughts on this? I mean, it's good to see that these conversations are happening, if not here, at least over in the UK.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is that to tie the vaccine to any type of illness, you have to know if the person took the vaccine or not, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times that information isn't there, but I would think that maybe people we know that work in hospitals or triage centers can know as they look at the folders and they can put it together. Yet that information is still sealed tight. It's not allowed to come out. I'm very happy when we see things like this, right? And I'm sorry because it just made me think when I had a friend we lost, right? Turbo cancer. And you start thinking about boosters and those people who took those boosters. And it seems that people who did take the boosters, they've entered another level of concern or a chance for some type of cancer or a blood clot. So I'm glad there are more doctors speaking up now. But I mean, the whole thing is that we're going to be in this data war, right? Just like we were on that argument yesterday, that debate yesterday and too as well. When they're talking about certain statistics they're getting from somewhere else, which kind of oversee and supersede our statistics that we get. I mean, this thing is such a clusterfuck right now, right? That it's really hard to put a finger on things. This segment, we know what it's not, right? Sometimes it's like, oh my God, it's like, until you explain to me, what it's all about, it's like, how do we know for sure, right? We hear this data coming out that there's myocarditis and young kids are getting blood clots all over the place across the world in higher numbers than ever before. But the thing that I think that you put your finger on that's so important right here is the fact that they've tried to shut out even having conversations about what it could be. When doctors bring information like this to the table, it allows us to open up the talk for these conversations, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But instead of doing that, instead of shining a light on these studies and these concerns from actual doctors that have actual data right in front of them from their own patients, and they've been studying this for the several years, instead of that, they're putting this kind of garbage out. Why are we wasting our time with this nonsense? But from today, new highly mutated COVID variant called cicada. Oh no, it's spreading in the US. You got to know these symptoms, guys. This is a big deal. This is spreading crazy right now. It's in at least 25 states. So half of our country is infected with a new COVID variant. Oh my God, I am sheltering in place right now. It looks like it's called BA.3.2, a highly mutated new COVID-19 variant that may be better able to escape immunity from vaccines. They gotta come up with a new potion for us, because it hasn't been working. It's spreading into the US, although the COVID cases are low nationally. This particular strain is gaining traction around the globe. Cicada emerged over a year ago and slowly simmered until last fall, when it started ramping up in several countries, including the US. Oh no. As of February 11th, the variant had been detected in at least 25 states. So that's half of our countries is infected. I think we need to do another lockdown here, Craig. This is not acceptable. We need to go. I thought we were going for COVID 0. What is going on? And this one's got a slew of genetic changes in its spike protein. It sets it apart. Well, guess what, guys? All variants are set apart from each other. Just to be clear, that's why they're called variants. But okay, this one's special and it's spreading fast, and we need to be concerned. And if you go through the entire article, you're not going to find anything about why we need to be concerned. Why not just post an article about every single flu strain every time there's a new flu? Because there's multiple flus going around all the time. Do they have enough room on their websites to print all those articles, or is just the COVID one that they like to get out there and sell copies? I don't know. I don't know, Craig, but it seemed like our guests yesterday weren't really open to the conversation that maybe this thing does actually act as a flu. It's a little weird though, but I understand why you might think it's worse with this type of stuff going on.
Yeah. Well, the flu part, that wasn't some of our opponents' best moments. Why they kind of explained when Mr. Matt Weinglass put the screws to him and said, why did we have any flu deaths that year all of a sudden, huh? And I'm not going to tell you their answer to that. You can go watch the debate and decide for yourself, because I got a personal text from somebody just disgusted from that answer from our friend. But, that's the answer he got. Really, to tell you the truth, it wasn't that nobody died from the flu. It was obviously the reclassification by the ruling class and the hospitals and whatnot, so they can collect that money that was put out there in the CARES Act for COVID. They knew that money was coming, right?
Yeah.
So they had to have somebody die of a COVID death, which is a flu-like symptom, instead of a flu death, because you don't get that bonus, Matt. You don't get that extra cheese in that check.
Man, we didn't even get into the bonus stuff.
What? Come on now. Come on.
I mean,
not only do we have to bring our own sources of data, but you also pointed something out in this thing here. This is the great thing about doing the show, bro. I love doing this show with you, and it's been such a fun time seeing you grow and get on these other spots, and this show just getting to new heights. And please, everybody, get out there, like, share, subscribe. I know Matt is very thankful to the cheese you get to help him out, and we do need the help out there. We're still kind of pushing back against the censorship machine. Let's not forget that his first channel was demonetized, but digress. The mutation, Matt, there was a conversation about mutation that Ron had pointed out about mutation. I think there is confusion on what causes mutation. There is an argument that the COVID vaccines would actually cause more of a mutation problem. It was more problematic for mutation than those who weren't vaccinated, right? So that is a discussion out there, and I think we need to have that discussion, because once again, it's very unclear out there on what the virus or viruses could do, the different types of COVID. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, there's a lot to be discussed here, and you're right, but it does seem like a lot of the same rhetoric. And I'm glad we started doing this, because we have to start kicking open the doors and pushing back and stop people immediately and say, no. And get people like Ron and Lila to go, hey, let's hear them out. Don't shut the door on them. Let's hear them out. They have something to say, right? We need those allies.
Exactly.
And, I think we can come to some conclusions.
Yeah.
I've said this before. Dr. Urso, right, who's been once again bastardized, put down. I know they were going after him at one point. He was one of the first doctors that talked about hydroxychloroquine shortly after Dr. Zelenko did. He showed up on the steps of the Capitals, everybody in the white coats. There was, I think, a Jamaican doctor with him that went viral, a black Jamaican doctor, a lady that went viral. Dr. Russo had said one of the things that was really disturbing about COVID-19, in which the other side is at least, awake to, is the fact that this could be, because once again, I think there was a point where Lila and Ron were like saying, well, you don't think this is just the common cold. And I kind of classified very clearly, I don't think it's the common cold, but I don't think it's out to be what you guys think it's out to be. I think it's somewhere in between. Dr. Urso had talked about this. When people get this, we shouldn't take it lightly, right? We shouldn't. We need to take it seriously in a way. And I think that sometimes the people on our side were like, it's a common cold. I had it. I beat it. No big deal. Well, that's not going to be what it's like for everybody. So if we take it like that, we're going to lose a lot of people and say, hey, regardless if it came from bat soup, regardless if it came from a bio weapons lab, we need to take it seriously. I think that is something that we need to do. Go ahead.
And going into the language, which I did in the conversation, the language is important because none of us said common cold. She said it. And the reason she said it, and Ron's opening was very revealing. The opening was, his assessment was there's two camps. There's the people who followed everything, and there's the people who said, F this, I'm going to do everything in retaliation against it. I don't give a F. That's what he said. So what that means is that if you believe that there were two camps and that's it, then you're a victim of your team telling you what the other team thinks and giving you their talking points. And so that was made crystal clear when she started arguing about, it's not a common cold, guys. And I was like, that's interesting. Where did you get that language from? She was given that language. You see how, so we have to go deeper than arguing that point, but actually go into their head and say, where did you get that from? This is the same shit we had to deal with RFK not being allowed to have interviews and the ABC anchor saying, I was gonna show you guys the interview, but it was so bad, I'm just gonna give you the bullet points. He said some horrible shit. And you saying, oh, that's news. I'm gonna take that and put it in my brain, and I'm gonna use it when someone says, oh, I love RFK. Why don't you? I don't like him because ABC told me that he's crazy and said some crazy shit. What did he say? Well, they didn't want to air it because it was so crazy. So that's how they do this, how they capture you with this idea that your opponent is so bad. I'm barely going to tell you what they said. So they came to the table thinking what our argument was without us saying it. So I'm just from that point.
That's the power of media. That's the power of the ruling class. They got people thinking that there's just two teams, right? They got people tribal thinking.
And by the way,
tribalism. They really do. We discovered yesterday, and they even said, like, people call us shit libs. I don't consider them complete shit libs at all. I don't like a lot of the points they're making, but there was a lot of common sense, and we could talk to them yesterday. You know what I'm saying? We can go back and forth. But, the media is the one who said, well, these people on the right, either they think it's just a common cold. Some of them don't even think it exists. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what they were able to do. And they continue to do that to this day. So I think that we both found something we have to fight back against. You know what I'm saying?
And
I got to say, when I talked to Ron off the air before the show, when I talked to him on the show, he was making a lot of strong points. I kind of understand his point of view. I disagree with a lot of them. Right now, I think that yesterday, what I didn't get to bring up and I was holding back is that relationship between Moderna and DARPA, right? Like I didn't continue to say that because I wanted the show to move on to the question part. But, when you talked about bioweapons and you're like, it is a bioweapon and the bioweapon is the vaccine. Well, that doesn't make you Alex Jones fucking crazy. There's a serious link and a relationship between DARPA and Moderna. Modern mRNA, right? Come on, guys. They fucking helped funded it. This is a military asset that if anybody was going to be diving into bioweapons, it would be DARPA, right? The ones who engineered fucking flies over here with microchips and all this shit. They're funding the vaccine. Moderna's. how can you not say that there's the potential or the possibility for that vaccine being a bioweapon when you know that, and that's in black and white? You cannot escape that.
Well,
great point yesterday.
The lesson is next time we do a longer session, because there's so much to get into before you look at that timer and you're like, oh shit, we already went through an hour. So we'll do that. We'll have a longer form next time. And I think it is something, and we'll let you guys know when we're doing that again. But let's and also for the record, it did have symptoms of flu. And that's what it actually was. I didn't say cold. I said flu because why? Because that's what Bill Gates said. I just repeated what Bill Gates said after he sold all his stock and made his $500 million. I just want to be clear on that. That's what Bill Gates did. So just repeating from the guy in charge, the guy with the non college degree. But
they said they didn't like Fauci. They said they didn't like Bill Gates. That was the difference between them.
Then that's a great starting point.
I'm saying they understood that. I'm like, well, great. We don't like them too. Why don't we like them?
Yeah.
So why do you believe in this vaccine if you don't like the guy who funded it, or the or the entity in DARPA who funded it? Like, it's military. How can you? Yeah.
So this is also the problem.
I try to start that with the whole.
Okay.
We don't trust them.
Well, the reason we have to go further into the psychology. I don't believe that. I believe they believe that. I believe the way brainwashing works. I'm sorry, I have to be very blunt about this. You forget the thing that you used to do. That's the conversation. So I would say this, Basa, next time, I think it's not to start off with, was it a lab leak or not? Okay, good getting our feet wet. Now it's time to talk about what's really happened. The behavior. It's time to start talking about behavior, because what happens is when people are captured, brainwashed, whatever you want to call it, they forget their behavior. They have no memory of it. So it's easy to say in 2026, I hate Fauci, I hate Gates. And you say, oh, good, we're starting from the same place. We're not starting, Craig. We have to go back in time and we have to remind people the way they behaved, like this. Okay, no copyright problem. Sound off, but imagine Biggie is playing during this. Although you could have any song playing during this. The point is, this happened. Okay, this is just one little thing I stuck together I found on Twitter, but I'm telling you guys, there's so much that we erase from our memories. How we treated each other, how we uninvited people to Thanksgiving and Christmas, how we literally were scared to death of dying. Because why? Because we were told that people were dead in the street in Italy. They were dead in the street in China. All those videos of spazzing out, dying in the streets of Beijing so you have to go back and look at that and go, what? First of all, that doesn't look like signs of COVID at all. So whatever this is just people being afraid. This is just a starting point. But I would leap to say this. My analysis is that people can say what they want now about their mistrust of Gates and their mistrust of Fauci, but there's no way Saturday Night Live would have brought Fauci on and had a big standing O with him, with Brad Pitt. That couldn't have happened if people actually hated him at the time. They loved him, so they're forgetting that part. That's what I believe, that they are forgetting that, and they can say it now because it's in the rearview mirror. But let's remind people where we came from, and I think we need to be able to do that. They also talked about studies that we do. Obviously, we didn't bring any to the table, but how about this one? I mean, there's so much, man. There's so much we could just pop up. This one's one of the more recent ones. It was 51.6 million people. Every single person in South Korea they have data on, and it was a shocking number of VAIDS. What is VAIDS? That is vaccine acquired immune deficiency syndrome. So it's AIDS plus 1,000, whatever. AIDS times 1,000, whatever you want to call it. It's VAIDS. So this is real shit. This is from actual studies. They said, hey, we'd like to see some studies. Okay, well, next time we can show them that. Some other blasts from the past. How about this?
Was put out for the public that skipped the animal test. Never before, especially for children. And as what I've read, they actually started the animal test, and because the animals were dying, they stopped the test. Correct. Folks, I think that's important to understand there, that what we're talking about is the American people are now the guinea pigs. This is the test program that's going on. They didn't do the human testing, and they stopped the animal test because the animals were dying. and then they turned it out for the public. And we are now looking at businesses that want to mandate that this experimental vaccine be given to people as a condition of their employment. And yet we have this death count that continues to rise and be totally ignored.
So, I mean, and these are just little examples. We got a ton of them. I think we were just getting warmed up. I'm glad we got our feet wet there, Craig. But man, there's so much there, and there's so much that other people forgot. We don't want to forget either. We did the work. So let's remember all of these different parts to this. The money incentive, right? You just mentioned earlier. We didn't even get into that. The whole thing with the $30,000 per ventilator. We didn't even talk about ventilators. We didn't talk about remdesivir. There's so much. There's so much. So I'm glad we got our feet wet. I'm looking forward to the next one, Craig. But this is still an ongoing thing. This is not all in the rearview mirror. This is, like you said earlier, the opportunity for another lockdown, another pandemic. We have to be ready. So we have to know what we did wrong and know how people effed up and get better at detecting the shit, especially with people that already are supposed to be skeptical, right, of pharma and skeptical of the profit over people system. That's all.
One of the things that Lila said that was very interesting, and is another talking point that I want to make sure that we kind of take head on next time, is the fact that she said, as a socialist, she believes that socialism is about taking care of your loved ones around you. And that's why we needed to take this serious and protect the people around us. And I agree, but we just agreed that what is actually protecting the people versus harming the people. And I think that the mask, that was, came over the cloud that came over us, from which they were able to take advantage of, was the fact is that they made it look like if you don't do this, you're not doing your part and helping your neighbor out, which was a complete lie and propaganda to get people to go along and to comply. And they just thought that people who did not want to comply were just being selfish, and they were holding their own personal individual freedoms over public health and safety. And that's just not the case. You know what I'm saying? It's not the case whatsoever. A lot of us look at this, the fact that we're talking out against this as a form of public safety and help, because we're warning people of how bad this could be. And let's not forget from the get-go, and I made a point that what you said, the EUA, right, the emergency use authorization, the fact that they try to mandate something in which they had liability and protection against, you couldn't hold them liable for what their shot did. So why would they care about us when they've never cared about us? That being the big pharma companies. And to this day, I would like to hear somebody give me an answer. So,
Hey, I pulled out one more just for fun because you were mentioning Alex Jones. I thought you get a kick out of this.
Nobody liked my Alex Jones imitation yesterday. I was very upset.
Okay, right?
I thought I nailed it.
You did nail it. We didn't talk about Francis Collins and Fauci, and they're manipulating the doctors that were doing the Barrington Declaration and all their little manipulations about the bio leak. The whole thing. They had all the emails. We saw all of them. They were trying to silence this. Let's deplatform that. Let's pay off these people. It's all on email. We saw all of it. This was the original Epstein drop, right? The COVID drop, right? So we saw all this. Alex Jones did this little thing. I thought this was hilarious. He confronted Collins in an airport. Check this out.
How you doing? I'm all right. How are you? We're good. 20 plus million people dead from those shots. Well, truth's coming out about you and Fauci. How's it feel to kill more people than Hitler?
You're writing some folk songs about it?
Go ahead.
You're writing some folk songs?
You'll never get away with what you did, your bioweapon. You're in a lot of trouble.
It's entertaining. I would never have played that clip on our debate, but I thought you'd get a kick out of it. Look, and then to tie a bow on this segment, you guys know that when we know it's not. We have to end with completely unrelated bulletins. We just want to give you like 3 of them. There's a ton of them, guys. A lot this week. We can't give you all of them, but these are totally unrelated incidents. We just thought you should know a few people that passed away, probably I would say ahead of their time, but I don't know. It seems pretty normal. So maybe it was natural causes. It's hard to say. I'm not a doctor, but this one we found out. This is a Blue Bloods. If you guys ever watched Blue Bloods, the actor, comedian Alex Dung has died after battling a rare form of cancer. He was 42.
That sucks.
Yeah, that sucks. 42, cause of death. He was battling cancer. The actual cause of death, septic shock. He passed away on Saturday, St. John's in Santa Monica. He battled this whatever sarcoma, I can't pronounce it. It's a rare, aggressive. Whoa, there's that word aggressive. pasta, aggressive cancer. That's like another word for rapid cancer. The cancer started with headaches behind his eyes. It caused vision loss in one eye. The diagnosis was about a year ago. That's too bad. Condolences to his family. Here's another one. 22 rugby player. I always think these are weird postings because you have a 22-year-old rugby player who died. The family's heartbroken. His brother's heartbroken. But then when you look further in the article, and they confirmed in the statement on March 28th, they're saddened by his passing. When you look for, well, what happened? It says no cause of death has been shared publicly. And I guess that's also a common thing. Totally normal for a 22-year-old rugby player, probably had a lot of fans, to drop dead and to not tell us what happened, because that's called privacy. We don't want you to know, which is weird, right? If you have a son that's 22 that has a car accident, dead, maybe didn't have a seatbelt on, maybe the other driver was drinking, you'd want to maybe do some public announcement, public awareness about it. Maybe start a charity. What about suicide? You don't want to announce that? Fine. But it's very interesting. You wouldn't want to say, hey, this could happen to you. I want to make sure this doesn't happen to anyone else. Why is it that we get these cause of deaths by 22-year-old athletes, healthy athletes, and you don't want to tell us what happened because of your privacy? Great. Be private. Don't warn anybody else what happened to him, because we don't need to know. We don't want to know. And for God's sake, don't tell me his medical records, because the only reason we would give a F about his medical records is when you're going into lunch at a restaurant. Then we care. Public concern is when you're eating, not when something happened to you. It's not our effing business. Move on. Next one. Hockey player Jacob Winterton, 25, stage 4 cancer battle. Holy crap. Totally normal. Ontario Hockey League player Jacob Winterton, diagnosed stage 4 bone cancer. He was 25. Announcement was made Tuesday, the 24th. So that's just a few, none related to what we've been talking about. I just thought you guys should know this is totally normal occurrences. There's a shit ton more. We can't get into all of them. Those are just ones I threw out there. I'll let Pasta have you have the last word here on this segment.
The debate continues, and I'm glad we're getting back into it. Look, a lot of this stuff hits home. Like I said, I had a friend who was diagnosed 14 months later. He was dead. We see a lot of these turbo cancers. I never seen anything like this before. During that debate yesterday, I also explained the fact that I used ivermectin and the FLCC protocols. I phoned or texted Dr. McCullough directly when me and my mother had Omicron. So it worked for me, but that was my personal experience. And all I can talk about is my personal experiences. I don't know about you, Matt, but my personal experiences, I've never seen these turbo cancers just come out of the blue like never before from people around me, loved ones. And most of the time that I talk to those loved ones who have lost in the last couple of years from a cancer, from a blood clot, something like that, they have taken the shot, and some of them take them the boosters. So you can put it together out there. You have to believe in what you believe. You have to look at the evidence. You have to do your own research. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of what somebody tells you about doing your own research. Yeah, you can. There's a lot of crazies out there. There's a lot of other opinions out there. But if you source out the source and you know exactly where they're coming from, like as I did and Matt has done, then you can come up with an informed opinion and an educated guess, because you've gotten the right information out there. There's no longer hiding this stuff anymore. One of the things we didn't talk about yesterday is the biggest sins is that they didn't allow doctors to be doctors during this whole thing. It was let doctors be doctors. And everybody has the right to listen to their doctor. You know what I'm saying? But if you handcuff a doctor and you say a doctor can't do this, he has to go along with what Big Pharma has set out for them. Otherwise, he'll be disbarred. Well, then you really don't have a doctor. You just have a placeholder for Big Pharma, and they're calling the shots. And that's what we have to get away from.
Doctors are baffled. They're still looking into it. They'll be back soon with whatever information they can come up with. But until then, you guys know, don't be worried about it, guys. There's one thing we know for sure, and that is we know what it's not.